Hello, welcome to this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at Minton's here in Harlem, New York. This afternoon was a very, very important day, not only for jazz, but also for this legacy here at Minton's. Restaurateur Alexander Smalls, as well as corporate head honcho Richard Parsons, today did the ceremonial ribbon cutting of this great, great club for not just Minton's, but also the Cecil, which is right around the corner. As you might know, this is the hotbed or the epicenter where bebop was created during the late 1930s, well into the 50s. And these two gentlemen are going to bring back and bestow upon the legacy of just the rich music as well as the food back to Harlem. I sat back earlier with both of these gentlemen and we talked about the vision of both Cecil's and Minton's, and also talk about what it means to Harlem. So sit back and relax and enjoy the highlights of the ceremonial ribbon cutting ceremonies here at Minton's here in Harlem, New York.
Ready? You got it all.
3,
M-I-N.
Hot. How are you?
It's a great day in Harlem. Art King said that in '58, and so today we say it again. Pay special respect to Keith and to Dick for their vision that obviously has materialized to all of our benefit, not only in terms of our appreciation of the music, but also the food, the culinary cuisine, and what it will mean for this neighborhood in terms of economics, and just feeling good that something that has been iconic has been restored to be enjoyed by one and all. So, you know, I'm hopeful that this ceremony is short, and so I'm going to be finished. I'm getting ready to run the marathon. I need more time. But I know this was a marathon. I know it was a great, great challenge, and congratulations. Give them a round of applause now.
Senator Perkins, tell me about how important this is for Harlem as well as the history of jazz music.
Well, Art Kane, 1958, captured a great day in Harlem. And it featured the leading musicians of the music at the time. Today is another great day. I want to thank Dick Parsons and his vision, his dream that has come true, not just for him, but for all of us in this community, and even more importantly for our young people, who are the inheritors and future contributors and creators of the music that we've come to be known as jazz. So for me, it's a great day in Harlem, in my district.
If you look, it's a beautiful afternoon, it's quiet, and where this club is located at, you have trees lining this beautiful street along with historic buildings, and I say to all of you that this is a place to come in order to enjoy a nice meal and company that you're with, and also hearing great jazz. And that's what's needed overall. And I was talking to the man that was standing on the stoop, and there he is right there. He said that he's lived here for over 20-something years, and he's so happy that this new Minton's Jazz Club has opened up. He said, because you soundproofed it, and there's a big difference in day and night from before to now.
Yes.
As speaking on behalf of someone that lives next door, he's very, very thankful and happy to see all of us here. But it's important to know that Curtis and the Harlem Urban Development CDC has done a great job overall, and I'm just so happy to be a part of it, looking to try to make sure that whatever they do in Harlem is for the best interest of Harlem and our community, understanding that life never stays the same, it's always moving, just like our universe is always moving. But that you never forget where you've come from, and always remember when you go forward, never forget the people that you come up with. And that's important, Dick. You've done a great job overall as a leader in our great city, and everything that you've done along with your partners. I appreciate Minton's, you call it a supper club? Supper club. And I can't wait to come, and I'll bring my wife and family soon. Thank you very much.
I am so thrilled to be here today, and everybody at HSI is absolutely thrilled to have Mr. Parsons reopen and revitalize the Minton's Jazz Club and the new Cecil restaurant. HSI has been operating the residential part of Cecil since 1988. We were basically founded to get this project off the ground, and so Cecil is really in our DNA, and it is absolutely wonderful that this final piece of revitalizing the entire building is being celebrated today by Mr. Parsons and his crew. We are absolutely thrilled not only for the revival of the club and the opening of the restaurant, but also to have Mr. Parsons and his team as such a wonderful partner to work with in terms of maintaining this building and keeping our operation going. In terms of actually working everything out, as a small not-for-profit, working with a sophisticated jazz club is a little bit out of our league, and we would also really like to thank our landlord, Harlem CDC, and particularly Curtis Archer and Wayne Benjamin for helping us and giving us technical advice throughout the entire process.
Thank you, Wayne.
And as part of the wonderful things looking forward, we are going to be sharing the name of the Cecil residence and the restaurant. And as part of that, the Cecil restaurant will be providing a food program for our tenants. And it is a wonderful way for us to share this wonderful name, Cecil. We're housing the folks, and Mr. Parsons' team will help us feed them. And we think that is a wonderful partnership. Yes. I am so happy to be here today and with all of you to celebrate this great occasion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hervé, this is a very important day for Harlem. Tell me about the importance of what Minton's is going to do as far as the culture and the music to Harlem.
I think Minton's is going to put Harlem, the new Harlem, on the map in terms of bringing a new type of experience to people from all over the city, if not the country and the world, to come and experience the jazz culture of Harlem, the food, just the atmosphere that is just incredible up here in Harlem.
Good afternoon, and heartfelt congratulations to HCDC and obviously Mr. Parsons and his team, Alexander, for this historic reopening of Minton's and the Cecil. And congratulations from Governor Andrew Cuomo, most of all, for this great project. As Curtis mentioned, we at ESD oversee economic development projects all across the state. And a previous speaker spoke of this restoration, the relaunching, the rebuilding of Minton's and the Cecil as an example. It's an amazing example. And it's an example that I will trust me, and you know this, Curtis, and I think Mr. Parsons can trust me as well. An example that I'll be describing and using in Buffalo and Syracuse, Rochester, in our work all across the state, because it brings together so many phenomenal assets, in this case, really the assets of rich history and of music and of culture and of food. And I think one of the things to remember is that so often the best economic development projects, those that have the most significant impact in terms of job creation and private sector investment and community revitalization, spring from, we say it all the time, kind of a public-private partnership. But the balance of that partnership here is a set of, I would think, if you don't mind me saying this, Curtis and Wayne, a relatively small set of actions by government to enable gigantic steps of private investment and entrepreneurship. We have to kind of get out of the way and enable and support what is happening here, which is a huge investment. And in all such investments and all such entrepreneurship carries with it a significant risk. Someone else's money, someone else's capital, building on all these assets. Alexander and I did a little tour beforehand. If you haven't, by the way, seen the mural yet, wait till you go inside. The mural is unbelievable. But we were walking outside. We came out by the side of the Cecil, and I said, well, this is, especially in a day like today, this is a big outdoor cafe waiting to happen, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, it's not so easy. Because I was quickly reminded that the zoning here doesn't make that so easy. And I'm not advocating for an outdoor cafe yet. We're getting ahead of ourselves. We're getting ahead of ourselves. But the space is incredible, and the opportunity is incredible. And Mr. Parsons sees this. He's the visionary, we know that, and he's made this commitment. And I suspect a year from now we'll do a nice event of those outdoor tables. But there'll have to be some government action to enable that. And that's the spirit, if I may say, in cooperation with our elected officials from the New York City Council and the New York State Senate, all of us working together to support your vision, Alexander Smalls' vision, your colleagues, in this truly historic and wonderful, wonderful event. And for a couple names have been mentioned and people tied up in other meetings, their absence simply means more food at brunch for the rest of us. Thank you.
The beginning of this vision was because of Charlie Rangel. Charlie asked me back in 1996 to chair the empowerment zone up here in Harlem. And that's where I not only sort of fell in love with the community, although my parents lived here, my older sister was born here, I was conceived in Harlem. But I was born in Brooklyn. But in any event, just working for half a dozen years with Charlie and others, trying to figure out how to get economic life, economic growth, development, and opportunities for the community back into Harlem, kind of got the bug. And so that's where this all started. Secondly, I'd like to thank the HCDC because they had the place and they worked with us to get this done. So Curtis and all of your colleagues, particularly Senator Perkins, Senator Wright, were instrumental in getting it together. Thirdly, they say behind every successful man is an astonished woman. And I'd like to introduce you to my astonished woman who's over there somewhere, my wife Laura. Who remains so astonished, she needs support to stand up. She's leaning on the car.
Mr. Parsons, this is a very, very big feat for Harlem, as well as preserving the legacy of a very, very important jazz legacy.
Yeah, I mean, Minton's Playhouse was probably the epicenter of the bebop movement, and actually the place where the foundations for all of modern jazz were laid. So to bring it back to life was in and of itself a real kind of objective and honor. And then to do it in Harlem and have all, the neighborhood involved as employees and as patrons and to be a part of the movement, of Harlem's second renaissance, it's terrific.
Tell me about the concept of Minton's now as well as Cecil's. There's two restaurants, and you're presenting two different types of flavors to Harlem.
Yes. All right, so we start with the Cecil, which is on the corner, which is, I'm going to call it sort of the in the community restaurant. It's Afro-Asian American cuisine. Now you say, what is that? It's really the concept of our executive chef, Alexander Smalls, who's traveled the world and who's really sort of followed the influence of African diaspora, of African migrants, as they've moved around the world, mostly from Africa to North and South America. And as their food concepts, spices, tastes, recipes, textures came into contact with other forms of food, it created sort of a different taste to other world cuisines. So he's trying to recreate that next door at the Cecil, which, as I say, is, I'm going to call it our most community-friendly in the neighborhood restaurant. Next door we have Minton's, which is, kind of a 21st century version of the Jazz Supper Club. We have a house band made up mostly of musicians who live in the area, but who played back in the day with some of the greats who got their start here at Minton's. And we have continuous music all the time. And the cuisine here is another creation of Alexander's. It's called Southern Revival. So we have a little flavor of the Old South, music from the old days, and an elegant.
I simply want to thank you all for coming, and especially all of you who have been in this event with us and helped to make this happen. I want to announce lunch, and in doing so, well, not yet. And in doing so, I'd like to introduce the man behind me at Minton's, Banks White, my chef de cuisine, who is more than dressed for the job, and is going to entertain us with incredible food. So I think enough has been said. I agree with all of you, and we should eat.
Mr. Smalls, this is a very, very important day for not just Harlem, but just the preservation of the history of this music.
Fantastic day. We're very excited to be the new caretakers of the Minton's Playhouse. It's very exciting.
Now, I talked to Mr. Parsons earlier, and we talked about what he wanted to bring to Harlem with the music as well as the cuisine.
Right.
Tell me about what you thought about in putting in the cuisine to both these restaurants.
Well, we're bringing fine casual dining to Minton's, which is a concept that it is new. Essentially, you came to Minton's to listen to music, but not to eat. Well, now you can really have an incredible meal, and you can listen to music, and you can put on your best clothes. You can't overdress, and you can have an exciting, vibrant, sort of throwback to elegance experience. So this is what we were looking for in Minton's. In the Cecil, I spent many years studying the foods of the African diaspora, and I wanted to celebrate Africa's contributions to the global culinary conversation. So what I have attempted to do is where Africa sent slaves throughout the world, I've traveled to most of those places, and I have created a flavor profile that I think reflects what that food would be like in 2013 in Harlem. So that's the Cecil. It's an edible conversation about the food of the African diaspora.
You know, people are going to come here thinking that they're going to see the old sign of what happened. Explain the concept of what you guys did, because it's in good hands right now.
Well, what we wanted to do first and foremost is to introduce the public to the new Minton's, and one of the ways we sought to do that was to redo the entire space. But in order to do that, we needed to find the right caretaker for the sign. And so we partnered with the Smithsonian. We dedicated the sign to the new jazz wing at the Smithsonian, and it couldn't be in a better home. And we're excited to have that partnership too.
That'll do it again for this very special edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at Minton's here in Harlem, New York. I'd like to personally thank and congratulate Mr. Richard Parsons as well as Mr. Alexander Smalls for opening and keeping the treasure of jazz music alive with Minton's here in Harlem, New York. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.